Randy Credico began his career as a comedian. No doubt his sense of humor, still wicked, carried him through many trials in his later work, because Randy had a more ferocious calling. He is the former director of the William Moses Kunstler Fund for Racial Justice. He devoted 4 years of his life working in Tulia, Texas, after 10% of the African American population was arrested on drug charges solely on the testimony of a single undercover officer. The street became his habitat during the 7 years he protested to expose and eliminate the brutal Rockefeller drug laws. Since 2017, Randy has conducted around 120 shows for Julian on his program, Assange Countdown to Freedom. When you get to know Randy's work, one thing becomes clear. The invisible, the forgotten, the least among us in the political gridlock have no greater friend and ally. You can learn more of his work on his Twitter, Live on the Fly, and his radio show, Assange Countdown to Freedom. Please welcome Randy Credico.
Okay, thank you, Patricia, and welcome everybody. The folks at WBAI 99.5 FM, those on live stream, and thank you. You did a wonderful job, and it's great to be part of this great panel. I don't know where to start. First of all, you guys all showing up today. This is amazing. You know, I mean, you had your choices. You could be at home right now watching Ari Melber or Wolf Blitzer try to start a war in Russia or China. I mean, with the comedy duo of Jim Sciotto and Jim Acosta. Great journalists. Really, really. I've never seen those two guys in the same room together, have you? Jim Acosta and Jim Sciotto? It might be the same person, I don't know. I saw them in the Saks Fifth Avenue display window together as mannequins. Oh, you guys are a rough crowd. It's okay, man. I mean, the left is supposed to be, they're not, really. Guys, come on, we're not a dull lot, all right? Seriously. Gee, the last time I appeared in front of a crowd this big was before the Mueller grand jury, so it's, haven't worked a crowd this big in a while, man, really. And they laughed because they liked the Bernie Sanders impression, which you wanted me to do. You wanted me to do the Bernie Sanders, all right? When you guys were in Burlington, did you ask him? Ask him why he hasn't come out in support of Julian Assange? It was Julian Assange. After all, Julian Assange exposed the fact that they robbed the nomination from me. Shouldn't I be supporting him publicly? All right, I got some notes here for myself, basically. Keep it short. Remember, less is more. And most importantly, it's not about you. We are on live stream. We are on WBAI. We started the show, Assange Countdown to Freedom there 4 years ago. And just wasn't me. Is Margaret Ratner Kunstler here? She actually booked the show for me. She gave me, I didn't know. I'll be honest with you. I had no idea what I was doing. So she got me all the guests, and we did it 15 straight weeks at WBAI, then another 5 weeks. Then I took a leave of absence, and then we came back to KPFA, and now I'm back at WBAI. In between, on our website, Assange Countdown to Freedom, we did a lot of them, a lot of those shows. I really got to make this short because it's getting hot in here. On the live stream, let me just say this, and to WBAI, I really want to do this. One of those who has been a staple for Assange Countdown to Freedom, and one of the greatest supporters, most eloquent, articulate, consistent, passionate, is Craig Murray. Has been Craig Murray. Now, Craig's about to go to jail. Craig Murray is one of the bravest, courageous guys I've ever met in my life. And he's been there for Julian for 11 years. So what I'd like to do right now is because I know he's watching, everybody please show your love and appreciation for Craig Murray. He's not here, he's at home. But he was there. Craig is the best, he really is. And two others that have been staples are regulars, mainstays on that show, and I want to give them a shout out because I know they're watching. Stefani Morizzi and John Pilger. John Pilger. Aaron, you've been on this show. Aaron was there. The day after I'll get to that in a second. I really got to keep this short. I keep saying that. But also today, all the grunts out here today, people who are there on the vigil line, not just here but around the world, it's really important. It's really important that people are on the street, people are demonstrating, involved in direct action, because they reach people that we can't reach. As a broadcaster, on a radio show, a podcaster, as a writer, you know, John can't reach everybody. Aaron can't reach everybody. Chris doesn't reach everybody. Not everybody's a fan of my good friend over here, Roger. Not everybody knows. Not everybody listens. They may like Glenn Campbell. I don't know.
I've got a very good Glenn Campbell story.
I got a very good Roger Waters story right now. I'm only here today because of you. Okay, I'm going to tell you. This morning I drove in from Woodstock, and when I got here, I was walking the dog and ran into a tree, and I broke a tooth, and it came out. So I wasn't going to come. I looked like Alfred E. Newman. So I said, that's it, and I called the dentist, and we're packed. And I said, I'm doing this thing with he says, come on in. He brought me right in, didn't charge me. He said, all I want is a picture of Roger. Signed. And so otherwise I wouldn't have been here today. My dentist is a big fan of yours. Did you bring any 8x10s? No, I know you didn't, but all right, let me get all of the grunts around the world, those people in London. I want to reach out to them. MEB, who her and her crew have been outside the Ecuador embassy, and now Belmorish for 10 years. Alex Hills in Melbourne. Sabine in Berlin, Deepa Driver in Scotland for organizing, and of course Chuck and Bernadette over here organized the vigil in New York City 2 years ago. Keep doing it because it's really important. It really is important. It's a crisis, American crisis. That's it. You know about Tom Paine, American crisis, and that's what's happening right now is an American crisis with Julian Assange, which means it's an American crisis is the First Amendment. It's free speech. It's freedom of expression. It's everything involved what Tom Paine stood for. That is the persecution of Julian Assange. And if he goes, the rest of them go. People ask me all the time, Randy, why are you so obsessed with Julian Assange? You've done 120 shows. Would you stop it? There are so many political prisoners in this country. And I said, that's the reason why I'm so obsessed, because there's so many political prisoners in this country. Without Julian Assange, without Chris Hedges, without Aaron Mate, John Pilger, without them, how are we supposed to know what's happening to Leonard Peltier, or what's happening to Mumia, what's happened to Thomas Drake? Without the free press, we would not know. That's why this case is so important. I thought I'd get applause with that, man. It's an applause. I'm kidding. No, it's at any rate. And by the way, it's not Kafkaesque. I wish people would stop saying this is Kafkaesque. It's not. Joseph K. in the trial had no clue what he was being tried for. No clue at all. Julian, on the other hand, knows exactly why he is being tried and why he's being persecuted. It's for exposing war crimes, it's for exposing mass surveillance, it's for exposing torture and government and corporate corruption. That's the reason why he's being tried. So it's not Kafkaesque. The only thing is it sends a big chill. It's the big chill out there. So let's use another term. What else? I'll just do another 30 minutes, and I'm just kidding. At any rate, I met this gentleman and you in London at the trial, the Belmore's, the first 3 days we met there, and you were sitting next to Craig Murray. And it was a horrible sight. I looked at them. We were on the second floor, bulletproof glass, and down below was Julian in a bulletproof cage glass. And I said, where have I seen this before? And I realized 1960 in Tel Aviv, when Eichmann was tried, he was in a similar glass cage. The only difference is Eichmann had access to his lawyers, where Julian did not during that entire process. Eichmann is the architect of the final solution. He murdered people. Julian exposed people like Eichmann. And so I spent my 1.5 hour that day as a journalist. I couldn't watch it, so I put my phone here and started taking I took like 100 pictures, and 5 of them came out. Pictures of Julian behind that glass cage with his partner Stella Morris looking at him. It really is heartbreaking. But they didn't want us to do that. And that's like, I think it's contempt, right? Will I get in trouble if I go back? But I had to do it. Got like 4 or 5 photos out of it. And it was a very difficult thing to watch. But you guys got through it very well, you and your father and Craig. And you became very good friends with Craig.
Another political prisoner.
He's a absolutely. All right, who's going to write about that? Well, you guys have already written about that. All right, one last thing. I got to meet Julian 3 times in the Ecuadorian embassy back in 2017 in November. And we didn't talk about his work. We didn't talk about Vault 7. We didn't talk about the war logs. We didn't talk about any of that. We talked about food. We talked about history. We talked about dogs, how he missed his blue heelers, blue keelers, what are they called? Red heelers. He missed his work dogs. And then we got into history a little bit. We got into the abolition movement. We talked about, and I wanted him to draw the parallel as a PR move, talking about those who risked their lives, those who were threatened. People like Richard Hildreth and Theodore Parker and Frederick Douglass, Wendell Phillips, and those who were murdered, people like David Walker, and most significantly was Elijah Lovejoy, was murdered. The guy was like 35 years old, and he was murdered in Illinois, and they destroyed his press 4 times, and then they murdered him. I said, you've got to make that comparison. He said, no. That's a false analogy. He says, those guys, those abolitionist writers, they only pissed off a certain segment of the population, the slave power and the profiteers from slavery, the shipping business and those in the banking business in Boston. I, on the other hand, piss off everybody. Everybody. Doesn't matter. Everybody is angry with me. So basically what he is saying is, if you commit war crimes, if you commit torture, if you rendition somebody, if you are involved in corruption, it doesn't matter what party you are with. It doesn't matter if you're a despot, if you're a king, or some fraudulent prime minister. It doesn't matter. If you do those bad things, you will be on Julian's shit list, all right? And that's the reason why. Is there a timer there? Last thing I'm going to say is that we all have to be unified here. With the Rockefeller drug laws, we were inspired by the Madres de Plaza de Mayo in Argentina. Women, 1976, the U.S. back coup there, the Kissinger back coup. By the way, it's Kissinger's birthday next week. He'll be 300. So they can't find enough room in hell for them. All right, they got to build a parallel hell just to put them in. Nixon saying, "He's a great guy. Just Satan, just make some more room." But those women down there who came up to New York State, 4 women of the Madres de Plaza de Mayo came up to New York State during the Rockefeller drug law movement. They joined us up there. I went down there. Margaret Kunstler sent us down there, a delegation of ex-prisoners. We talked to them. They came up. They lobbied Pataki, they lobbied Bruno, and they lobbied Sheldon Silver. Within 2 weeks, we got the deal. They had a committee conference. Those women, the magic of the Madres de Plaza de Mayo, as you know, they, along with the Falklands War or the Malvinas War, within 5 years, just a few of them in the beginning were standing around that rondo in front of the Pink House in the Plaza de Mayo. It kept growing and growing and growing, and they stayed unified. They stayed unified. As long as we all stay unified, not break off, we must stay unified around the world and keep going together, because this is about Julian. That's what this is about. So please stay united, and we will get Julian out of that situation. Thank you.